is.
What's going on, guys?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are, we were a little delayed, so, we got ahead and just started talking a bunch of junk, but it's good to have you in, Joshua. It's fun to have you on the show. You were stuck in traffic, huh?
Yeah, traffic was pretty bad, actually. I went to Pincho Factory to have dinner with a friend of mine. We're about to actually, you're going to laugh. As we'll do this podcast, I'll be doing it in training with a training partner of mine in Injustice right now.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, nice.
So you'll get to see some of the play. I have the camera here in front of me. I'll end up moving it, and you'll see the closest screen to us. This one right there.
Yeah.
That'll be the one we'll be playing on. So yeah, what's going on? How's everybody?
Hey, everybody's doing good, and we are happy to be doing these hangouts because it gives people a chance to see it live, and then we have a video backup, and then we convert it to podcasts. So people who just rather listen to us than see our ugly mugs, they have that option.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Plus, also, Jose can't go back and edit history.
Yeah. Well, I could. I could do all the editing I want within Movie Maker, but it's not as easy with video as it is with audio.
I gotcha.
But just for everyone watching and anyone who's listened to this later, our show is primarily about pro gaming. And these are about people who take it to the next level. You know how they say gaming is serious business? Well, it is serious business. And it gets to a point where you say to yourself, I know I have skills and I'm going to prove it. And you go out and you challenge and you can make money, you can get famous, and just have a lot of fun. And it is something that I know I could never do because every time I've ever played against someone, even when I win, I don't feel good about it because I feel like I'm just under so much pressure to win and not enjoy the game. So I take my hat off to people like Joshua who can play competitively and enjoy it. So that's going to be our main topic for today. But just so people get an idea, what was it that made you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go from just playing to playing as a pro, like dedicating myself?
I think it all started with EverQuest. As crazy as that's going to sound. We have history. We played together in EverQuest. Being in a top 10 world guild kind of gave me that competitive edge to want to just continue to do competitive style gaming. I did it in World of Warcraft for a little while, but it wasn't the same. And then I got reintroduced to fighting games. So over the last 3 years, I've been playing fighting games now, competitively. And I just recently started to get a lot better at them. It's really fun to compete in fighting game events because the matches they're a little more intense. You only get a 2 out of 3 setting. You only have 90 seconds in a match sometimes to make or break your matches. And you also get to see, like, for example, we use the term technology in matches. That's the stuff we use against each other. We use technology, quote unquote. It's really new things that we find out, setups, and a bunch of cheap things. We like to use a lot of cheap things in fighting games.
See, that's the thing that I always wondered about, because I remember back with Street Fighter 2, when it finally came to the SNES, my friend would play Ryu, and he was legitimately good, but he loved to do that light kick, where it was like he would bend down and just hit you with that light kick over and over, and it would piss me off. And it's like, ever since Street Fighter, I've always found that someone will find that little glitchy hit, whether it's in Mortal Kombat, in X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, it reaches the pro level as well. That stuff actually works, or is it not?
Well, I mean, for example, when you're using like crouching light kick, I know crouching light kick, it's meant for pressure. It's not necessarily something that's just thrown out there and it's cheap because it doesn't do too much damage. It's only, let's say, for example, you got 100 health in a bar, it probably does 10 health at most. Right. But it's to set up something. Usually what you do is, for example, like a standard Ryu chain might be 2 crouching light kicks into crouching medium kick into Hadouken. That'll be a block string. And then you have a reset situation where you have to guess a way either out of the corner or out of that situation. That's my dog. Other than that, I mean, for example, glitchy things that I've seen in fighting games over the last couple of years, Cyrex has a reset. Basically what it is he resets a combo and continues into another combo, doing max damage. Because as you play fighting games, you'll know that damage starts to get normalized the longer the combo goes. So he gets a standing reset in a combo that gets re-triggered by a bomb. And it basically runs you into another combo. So, for example, instead of him killing you in 2 or 3 combos, he kills you in one progressive combo that resets.
Okay.
Something else that's pretty cheap, for example, Chris G, when he plays Marvel, he has his standard team now is Morgan Doom, and Virgil. And the reason why Morgan Doom works so well is because of the assist of Doom keeping you pinned down while he's chucking fireballs up in the air in Astral Vision with Morgan. And he can also rush you down with the character as well. He's really good. He's one of the top Marvel players. And he's actually building meter while he's in Astrovision. This is my friend. Come over here, Albert. My friend Albert.
Hey, what's up?
His name is Fight
Hey,
Club.
Albert. Oh, nice.
He's a longtime Street Fighter player, and he's also played Darkstalkers.
Oh, love that game.
So he's his main in Street Fighter is Bison, but I don't know. In Injustice, who are you playing?
Basically hoping people have bad habits in fighting games, so I'm playing Doomsday for right now.
Yeah, he likes Doomsday. He said he was gonna switch to Black Adam though.
Yeah.
Black Adam's really good. But he's been playing competitively for what, 5-6 years?
Yeah.
About 5-6 years. I met him through a friend of ours who's no longer a friend of mine, but still a friend of his. He's an acquaintance. We use acquaintances. But he's been to more tournaments than I have, you know. And he's been to EVO, which is a big tournament. He's been to Final Round, CEO. He has different reasons for going to events, though. At first, it started off you wanted to win, right? You wanted to win money, and then it kind of changed.
Yeah, it's a good hobby.
It's
to have, and you start building relationships with people in other places like Jan in Texas.
Yeah.
I got a couple of friends in NorCal, New York, you know, and basically that's to me that was my main reason for going to EVO, because a lot of people gravitate.
Yeah, towards a big event
across the United States
and the world.
Yeah.
So what happens though?
What was that?
What happens when you get to the point where you're playing against someone, and do you get those competitive juices where they may no longer be your friend, or maybe they are your friend, but they're like, man, if we have to go up against each other, I'm not gonna talk to this guy until after the match.
When you find out you're gonna play him, he wanted to know when your friend is no longer your friend is when you have to play them. That's how I view it, and that's how he views it. I know that. We've had to play people in tournament before that are from the local area, and usually when we play them, we don't hold back. We don't say, oh well, I'm gonna take it easy on this guy just because he's a friend of ours. That doesn't happen. For example, I played matches with people that I've known for a very long time, and we'll do like side bets. Money matches, I guess you can call them money matches. We don't like to use the term money matches, but that's really what they are, is money matches. And we'll put up a certain amount of money against each other, and we'll play a first to 5 set. And usually that when money's on the line is when friendship kind of goes out the window for at least 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when would you say that a person would know? I mean, I guess maybe you just have to start playing against friends. I mean, is that how it happens, where you say to yourself, okay, I want to do this professionally, but do I have enough skills? Like, I'm kicking my friend's butt. Maybe, especially maybe if you, now with online, I guess you have a better idea, but how do you know when you say, okay, I think I can make my jump into competitive gaming?
When I found that out, it was actually, it's hard to say, because I played a game that the online was really bad, and I wasn't able to get a lot better until I just started to talk to people and figure things out myself. But when I made that commitment to going, it was kind of like on a whim. I kind of said, well, I think I could do better because I used to watch a lot of streams, and I would say, I think I could do better than half of the people that play. And at first I thought there was a lot of money in this, but there really isn't. So I decided to say, okay, I'll go make the trip, and I'll see where I stand. That tournament I went 2-2. I didn't have the matchup experience I needed for certain characters, and I got blown up for it. But I met a lot of people, and I trained with them while I was at the event, and I noticed that the matchups that I did know, I actually either won most of the time or lost by like fractions of a health bar. What about you, Albert? When did you know you can go compete in these tournaments and try to make something out of this, like money-wise?
Honestly, it's when I started placing better at
the local events.
And honestly, in the beginning of Street Fighter,
Mm-hmm.
there were tournaments like when Street Fighter 4 came out. You know, it was the first big fighting game of this generation of fighting games, so everybody came back out.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter even what game you played. You had guys who played Halo
Trying to play this game.
trying to play the game, you know. And so the first time I thought there could be money in it was in game battles. It was an online tourney,
Mm-hmm.
and you had people that got ranked based on their recording. And aside from that, you would have these tournaments. Like there was one guy that had a tournament at his house, and for $10, which in a way it's better than tournaments now, he would feed you, and the $10 would like go into the pot or whatnot. So you pay like you would pay like a $5 or $10 venue fee, but you would get all the hot dogs you wanted to eat, all the soda, chips, barbecue,
Nice.
the whole thing, and then the other $10 would go into the pot. This was at a house in Miami Lakes. He was the owner of a playing trade that used to exist in Main Street in Miami Lakes, and we would get like in a guy's house like 50 people there.
That's pretty crazy.
He had a
That
big
is
backyard,
crazy.
so it was okay.
He had a big backyard.
He had a big.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to bring a little history. So I used to play EverQuest as well, and that's where I knew him from. And we actually ended up having a duel. And I was not a duelist. I did not like to duel. You know, I was like, EverQuest is about sitting in a room waiting to get some items that, you know, you've been waiting for months. But he's like, come on, I want to see how I am against you. And so we play. Now, here's something I never admitted before. So I did win, but here's the problem with this. When we battled each other, he said no healing. The truth is,
He had to heal.
I cheated. At the very last moment, I ran far enough away, and I popped a little heal just to give me an advantage. And then I came back and I won. He's like, did you heal? No, I didn't heal. So I wanted to make that confession here in front of everybody that, you know, he won. I cheated. I'm a scumbag. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that.
That's why I'm here just talking about it, and he's out there actually doing it and living it. So.
Well, you'll laugh. Ever since that duel, I don't think I lost a duel in EverQuest until I quit the game. What was it? One of the biggest, I would say the biggest moments I had in EverQuest, aside from all the boss killing, because when you're in a top 10 guild, that's all you do is kill bosses. You don't really live for anything else except killing bosses. I won the caster best of the best on the server, and it was funny how I won it. It was basically every single caster on that server decided they were going to have a caster best of the best with the GM sponsoring the event, and the prize was a title. And if you remember correctly, mascots, titles were not handed out like they are in World of Warcraft.
No, not at all.
If you had a title on a server, you were one of 4 people that had a title. So to get the title, I had to compete against 60 other casters, and this is back when Mana Burn Wizards had one-touch kills. Enchanters were really, really strong. Magicians had that ridiculous epic pet.
Yep. And
I think druids were okay. Druids weren't that good. I always thought druids were kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the game. Their design was so it was just poor because they didn't know what they wanted that class to be. They didn't know if they wanted it to be a crowd controlling class or healing class or a damage class. So they just kind of gave them a mix of bag of just a bunch of crap. They never made anything good. So there was druids, and then there was shamans, and shamans were pretty good. Shamans were starting to become really strong. But as a cleric, there was no way that I would die to any one of those classes, especially the way that I optimized my cleric. My cleric was the only cleric on any server that had close to 150 hit point regen a second. That's basically like a walking celestial elixir. Like you're never gonna get hurt. You'll take damage, but then if you're able to mitigate the rest of the damage that comes in, you're not gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
So I built my cleric that way. I built my cleric because my guild, while it was a top 10 world guild, there was some really bad players in it. And I had to heal a lot. And I was always finding that if either I had to heal myself or somebody else, I would die. And I'm like, that's not a reflection of me as a player. It's me having to heal somebody else while I'm trying to keep myself alive. And the best way to avoid that was to just not worry about healing myself and healing the whole raid. So when I got in the caster best of the best, it was funny. Nobody really focused on me up until there was only 6 people left. It was 2 druids, a mage, a warlock, and a wizard. They all looked at me and they said, okay, we have to kill him. 45 minutes later, they're all out of mana and they're all dead. And they're like, the GMs are just like, okay, how do we explain that a cleric won a caster best of the best? It hasn't happened on the other 45 servers that we have. And then I go, well, you could say that they tried killing me and you recorded this so you could post it up. So they posted it up on their I think it was on one of the EverQuest sites for like a good week and a half, and then they took it down. They posted up a video from the start of all 6 of them attacking me until I killed every single one of them. Because the other 2 things that I like to have was I used to have an extensive weapon collection with my cleric. So for example, the cheapest thing that I would do is I'd bring out the Tashan mace that I had. I would Tashan them, drop their magic all the way down to like, I think it was like 50. And then I had a Theft of Thought mace. And Theft of Thought, the way it works is it takes away X amount of mana and it gives me that mana. So it would proc. And I would just continue to get healed the whole time. And I would continue to get mana, and then I would just pop an elixir, and I would put damage shields on everybody. The Mark of Karn, I think it was called. And as they hit me, they got damage back to them. So the more they hit me, they killed themselves. And then I had the 10th Ring of the Cold Dane, a Fungi Tunic, a Fungi Staff. I wasn't going to lose. I'll just put it that way. There was no way they were going to kill me. I've even had Death Knights try to kill me back in that game, and they couldn't kill me with Harm Touch. They couldn't kill me with anything. I would beat, I don't know if you remember Zarazit.
Yes.
Yeah, he couldn't beat me in a duel.
I think that back then the only druid that I saw that was epic was that druid that got the I forgot the scimitar that procs the wolf before they nerfed it. That was like it. It was just that one, and every other druid was not that good.
No, druids were terrible back then. But I basically after that I quit EverQuest. 6 months later, and Light and Dark actually died. That's always the funny part. I was alpha testing World of Warcraft. At that time, I was also moving down to Miami again. And alpha testing World of Warcraft, I was kind of like mixed about World of Warcraft. I didn't really know if I wanted to be a healer or not. Then they announced the Shaman class, so I switched to Shaman because they had enhancement, and supposedly you can melee and still heal and do all those other things.
Right.
But they had no idea what they were doing with the Shaman class. I said at the beginning I thought that Shamans were going to be really strong. And towards the end of Vanilla, they started to be pretty good, especially if you had a Hand of Rag. And that's that. I had a Hand of Rag at the end of Vanilla, and I would PvP with it. And I would just one-touch kill everybody with Wind Fury, because Wind Fury could proc off a Wind Fury, off another Wind Fury, off another Wind Fury. And they also nerfed Spirit, because I found a glitch with Spirit. Spirit used to dictate your procs in Alpha and Beta. So the more Spirit you had, the more procs you would get. But then they nerfed that. They didn't want that, and also Spirit also affected your mana regen and your health regen in combat and out of combat, and then they normalized it.
Did you ever play any of the games, like competitively, as far as like StarCraft, League of Legends, Defense with Agents, stuff like
I
that?
played StarCraft. I played the latter. I got up to the league before the last league. I don't remember what it was called, but I couldn't beat Korean players. I couldn't beat them. They were just much better than I was. The Korean players were all better than I was. I only got a win on maybe 2 of them, but I couldn't beat them. So they pretty much dominated the upper tiers. I was decent at StarCraft 2. I played a little bit of it, but I didn't like StarCraft 2. I played Counter-Strike. I played Quake 2. I was pretty good at Quake 2. I like Counter-Strike better though. Counter-Strike before 1.6. I was digging it. I think I was ranked in the top 50 on the leaderboards or something like that. As far as after that, I played World of Warcraft for a long time, and I played competitively in that. I did Arena, and I would always be top 20 in the battle realm. I thought about doing some of the big tournaments that they were doing, but the problem is it's always finding your partners to play with,
right,
and to play long hours with. And at that time, I would play long hours, but the other people couldn't commit. Even though I had some really good partners to play with, I never had the chance to get them to commit to long sets where we would not only go up the ladder in ranked, but they wouldn't want to commit to a tournament weekend sometimes. It was a mess. They would leave and go to other battle realms that were easier, because I was on Ruin, I think it was, and Ruin was one of the top ones.
Would you say that when you go to some tournaments, like let's say it's for a Street Fighter or one of those Capcom fighters,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe someone is talking about how they also do others like either World of Warcraft Arena or StarCraft or Heroes of New Earth or something like that, do people have an opinion that one is more competitive than the other? Like, oh, if you're a competitive gamer, it has to be fighting games, and someone's like, no, it's strategy games, like that, or it's all good?
I think actually gaming in general within the group of gamers is accepted amongst gamers. I don't think any community thinks that they're better than the other, because they're pretty much all too busy fighting amongst themselves within their own communities. The most hated on player right now in our community is Chris G. Like, a lot of people just hate on him because he's not a bad player. He's really good, but he's the most dominant player in Marvel for the last couple of years. He with a lame playstyle, which it wins.
I think a lot of the hate
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the way he carries himself,
Yeah.
the way he expresses his feelings.
Yeah. He gets generally salty when he gets hit with random things. He
whines a lot.
He does complain. He's kind of toned it down though.
Well,
but
what makes his play style, like that upsets people?
Usually lame. If it's a lot of zoning, for example, Dominion, I know he frustrates a lot of people when he plays them with his style of Guile. But his Guile is not really lame. Sometimes it's aggressive. I know right now, if you were to say the Street Fighter player that most people don't want to see continue winning is Infiltration. I said it 3 years ago when I first started playing. We said it. We got on the Infiltration bandwagon when we saw him at Seasons Beatings, where everybody was kind of like, he's good, but he's not the best.
Which was after he placed third at EVO.
Yeah, which was kind of awkward.
And it's funny because anybody places third place at EVO, the World Championships, it's a big deal. This guy placed third, and everybody just forgot about him.
Yeah, everybody just kind of forgot about him, and they kind of ignored him. But over the last year, I think he won $90,000 in pop prizes and a car. Yeah, because there was a Street Fighter Invitational tournament where you had to qualify, and he was one of the qualifiers, and the prize was a car plus money. And actually, he didn't win just Street Fighter; he won Street Fighter Cross Tekken as well.
So how good do you have to be to actually say to yourself, I can make money doing this, or is it always I have to have a side job or a real job too?
I would say, okay, there's three different tiers of players. Like as far as like the money wise goes, there's a player that works and does this as not a hobby. I guess he wants to be competitive in it. So in a way, for him to be competitive and think that he can make money off of it, he has to maintain his side job to get to these events. There's the players that are sponsored that get to go to these events that are usually, I would say, if you were to go off the first branch I told you, it's about 85% of the community. Then you have 10% of the community that is sponsored. There's about 10%, right? You know, a lot of people get a free ride to go to these events, right?
I mean,
Yeah, you get your like 16 players.
I wouldn't say a free ride, but they get help.
They get
help. They get half the plane ticket or something.
No, they get more than that.
I mean, you're talking about the Upper Echelon?
Yeah, I'm talking about like AGE and EG.
They get a room and food.
They get a room, food, and a whole weekend paid for. You know.
And by food, I don't mean Walgreens and a couple of Doritos. No, you go to a restaurant.
You go to a nice restaurant, sit down, and it's paid for. Yeah. I would say those are about 10%, and then you have your 5%, which still include EG because Justin Wong makes a nice chunk of change. Daigo makes a chunk of change, and then Infiltration.
That their salary. Infiltration though is not.
But he's self-made.
At the moment.
He's self-made.
Yeah.
He's self-made.
Making independent money, or what does that mean?
He makes his money off of his tournaments.
Oh, okay.
Off his tournament wins. Although now I think he's starting to partner with the guy who makes those converters.
Well, he's always been with Laugh.
With Laugh.
But I think I think they thought, because Laugh has his own company, eToki.com, that has arcade cards. They have their own arcade stick that Infiltration uses. And I think the thinking is, if I'm going to be anybody's brand or partner with anybody, why not my friend who he makes sticks and all this stuff? So if an Infiltration stick were to come out,
it would sell.
It would sell, and they'd make the money off it as opposed to Mad Catz.
Yeah. Yeah, Mad Catz is the biggest name within the fighting game community. Other companies that have tried to break in, Razer, which I'm wearing their headset. Razer, I like Razer products. They just made their joystick. It just came out. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the Atrox. It's actually pretty nice. Razer's trying to break in, and Razer has sponsored a couple players. Fudo, Itsubashi, and Latif. So, I mean, I don't necessarily, how can I say it? It's not it's not on the StarCraft level of making money, because, or the League of Legends, for example. Like, I know the League players, Riot paid for them to, I think if they're in the top 8 of League or something like that, they all get salary. They get $32,000 a year or something like that. Base salary, nothing amazing, but you can live.
That's a lot of people make.
It's a lot more than people make. It's nothing like, how can I say? It's not like you're mid-level CEO or something like that. You know, like you're making 50, 60 grand, but they're making enough to do this as their actual job.
So the thing is that if you're playing like this and you're pretty decent, how well do you have to be to actually start to be considered? Because it's like, I think about golf sometimes, and even though I don't know it very well, you'll hear about someone who they'll always be in the top 30 but never really get above 10, but they still make money and they're known. In professional gaming, do you have to be at least top 10, top 20,
you have to be
25? Or
you have to be in the top 5%. You have to be a top 5 player. For example, I'll give you top 5 player names. Justin Wong. Infiltration, Justin Wong. Daigo. Who else? Well, GamerB, somewhat, but not really.
He's 10%.
He's in the 10% still.
I would even put Fudo
over GamerB?
GamerB, simply because he won an Evo and he's been able to keep up at that level of play.
So it's 5% of all gamers?
They're clumped into the 5%.
I would say.
Because of their personality and their stature. Like, Taquito, to me, is not a top 5% player.
But his personality.
But his personality and the fact that he can play well a broad range of games
Yeah.
Even though it's by picking the most broken stuff in the game,
Yeah.
but lends itself. He gets more fans because now it's the Street Fighter God is playing my game and it's Marvel.
Yeah.
He's playing my game and it's DOA. Taquito and Gamerby actually they picked up DOA when it began and actually reached grand finals in the tournament.
Well, it's very hard to make a legitimate living doing just gaming in the fighting games. But for StarCraft players, I mean, for example, it's all about sponsorship too. And right now, the fighting game community itself doesn't get the type of sponsorship that other leagues get. For example, I know StarCraft, they have Intel sponsoring some of their stuff, Razer, you know. There's also a bad stigma to the fighting game community, compared to the other types where it's.
I think the stigma is 50% warranted.
Yeah.
The other 50% is just the fact that it's existed before a corporation took notes.
Exactly.
When you talk about what Blizzard's done with their games, what a lot of people done with their games, or even MLG with a community.
Mm-hmm.
If MLG if they make a new game, they make the community, they shape it any way they want to. They do not have that power with the fighting game community.
No.
If MLG drops a fighting game, that fighting game and that community still exists. There are not many games that you could say that. If MLG drops Gears, people stop playing Gears.
Yeah.
For the most part, competitively. If MLG drops a game, it gets dropped. So the fact that the FGC has had an arcade culture before then makes it a different entity. So the best way is to kind of say, well, look, these people are uncooperative and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, the people that are being uncooperative are the people who have kind of laid claim to the community. It's not the entire community. It's just the people that have been benefiting the most from keeping it small.
Yeah.
Do you have people? Because I think that's interesting about the showmanship part, and I think that obviously almost in anything that's important, and it kind of makes me think about tennis, where they will talk about, and maybe it's unfair because they usually pick female tennis players, but they may focus in on one who may be attractive but not that great of a tennis player. Do you ever have kind of like an equivalent in gaming where it's a lot more showmanship and this and that than their actual abilities in games?
Oh, that'll be an easy question to answer. You're gonna laugh when I say this. Yeah. I guess you could say the old saying would be, "He who screams the loudest is the most known." Squeaky wheel gets grease. Yeah. Name me a player or a person in the fighting game community that screams the loudest, but it's not really that great. Fnatic. Yeah. He's sponsored too.
And the name fits.
Yeah. He's a weird cat. I would put it that way. I've never met him. I've seen him on shows and a bunch of other things, and he is loud. He's a very loud player.
I met him in CEO,
Mm-hmm.
and he was playing a local player called Atrocity, and they were just going back and forth, But I'm sure when you gain exposure to different play styles and such.
Yeah.
But the guy really, he's not placing right now. He was a very good Marble 2 player. His skill in Marble 2, unquestioned. And for a brief minute in Marble 3, I think last year, he won one major or two.
Yeah.
But this year he hasn't really done anything with his play, and he's more known for being annoying on stream.
Marketing his AG headsets.
Marketing his AG. I think that 90% the FGC knows that if they go to the AGE website,
they can buy
an AGE Fnatic, that they get a 15% off the headsets.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, for example, AGE does the promotional codes after every player in their thing. So we have a player down here named Flash Metroid that has a code because he's sponsored by AGE. Who else? I know they have a couple other players, Chris G. Although Chris G doesn't even, I think he's the one exception to the rule for AG. He doesn't have to. He sells the least, but technically he wears their headsets on stream because he's always on stream.
Heck, he'll wear 10 of them.
Yeah, he'll wear 10 of them if you tell him to. No, I'm just kidding. He's always on stream because I think he's the one that they, aside from Fnatic, he's the one that might do the least, but he gets them the most exposure because he's always in grand finals. He's the most dominant player in his game.
What about girl professional gamers? I mean, that should be
professional gamers. Oh man.
Yeah.
That aren't trannies?
That aren't trannies.
What? Okay, you have to explain that.
I have to explain that?
Come on, yeah, you have to.
Kyle Police.
Like, wait, so, okay, here's the question. Because, we do want to be PC. I love everyone. Are they being trannies hoping that because they look like women they'll get more attention? Or are they legitimate, that's just who they are?
Are they legitimately who they are when they're trannies, or are they...
No,
yeah, they're legitimately who they are. And they're also trying to pick up chicks. I didn't say that, right?
Look up Eris and Kale Police.
Yeah, there's an interesting interview if you want to go check it out. Yes. When you go to YouTube, you can look up the what was it? What game were they commentating?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it mattered either because they weren't commentating again. Eris was hitting on the tranny, not knowing that the tranny was a tranny.
Yeah.
And it was so good, and it went on for like 5-6 minutes, and he proposed to her.
He proposed to her.
Wow.
He proposed to her. It was hilarious.
All right. Well, how about then female gamers in general, non-tranny?
Female gamers that are good, non-tranny.
I can't believe we have to specify this. But
I have
it's
to
a
specify
subset.
This. The FGC is very colorful.
Yeah.
There are some colorful individuals here. There are also some big-headed, egoed dumbasses in the FGC. I will get to those people later. Don't worry.
We want controversy here on Obsolete Gamer.
Oh, you want some controversy? I can definitely give you controversy.
The more shit we talk, it seems that, like, I get the feeling that when we're just calm and we're trying to be PC, people are like, boring. And next thing you know, you start talking shit, all of a sudden our ratings and hits go up. It's like, okay, well, give the audience what they want.
For example, Kayane's godlike in Soul Calibur.
Yes.
She is godlike in Soul Calibur. She is the only female gamer I've ever seen playing fighting games that is in grand finals for her game. She is, I would say, top 5 Soul Calibur player almost. She's in that cusp within the top 5. And she's good. She's actually pretty good in Street Fighter. I think they did a women's Evo Street Fighter thing. Didn't they do that? And she won that.
Yeah, she did. She won against Burn Your Bra.
Against Burn Your Bra, yeah.
A good female gamer must be like a hemophiliac walking into a room full of zombies.
Actually, a good female gamer.
Sherry Jenix.
No.
Are there some? I don't. Okay, let me just say it. Are there some?
She got big five.
In pro gaming.
She beat Combo Fiend though.
What happened, Mascot? What'd you say?
Are there some Danica Patricks in?
There are Danica Patricks within the gaming pro gaming FGC. There are some Danica Patricks. Yeah. Definitely Sherry Jenix is a Danica Patrick in some ways. Who else?
So some skills, but more looks than skills.
Some skills, but I wouldn't. Man, it's hard to say that there is looks.
Oh, well.
Cat Gun, yeah. Cat Gun.
I guess this is where the joke come in because they always make fun of gamers that we're all supposed to be hideous, so I guess any girl looks good. Any girl looks good
when there's about 500 guys within that mesh. It's like the rating goes up. They could be a 3 on a beach and a 10 in a room.
Yeah. At the LAN party, all girls under 300 pounds are 10.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
We're gonna get some hate for that one, but all right.
Oh, that's that. You know what? I welcome the hate. They can see me in Injustice. I have no problem with that. They can see me in Injustice if they want to, and if they wait 2 years, I'll play them in the next Street Fighter as well. I don't care. I'm not afraid of anybody.
Take us through walking in, like the setup to a tournament, because I think that a lot of people who hear about pro gamers, you know. There's one thing to see what you do to get ready and to practice and all that, but what is it like when you actually are getting on a plane and you're heading to a tournament? You know, regardless of where you place, I mean, do you feel like you're a star, like maybe you're going on American Idol type thing, or to you is it just like going to a LAN party and playing whoever?
For me personally, because I'm not a known player in that community, but I was in other ones. It's worked both ways. When I was in EverQuest, I think I was top 3 cleric in the world, close to it. So I would get whispers randomly from people I don't even know, and that never got to my head. As a matter of fact, in EverQuest, if anybody ever asked me something, I always gave them the best possible answer I could give them. And the same holds true in this game, in this community for me, is anytime anybody has ever asked me something in a game that I know, I try to give them the best possible answer. But
the thing is, in this community, like in the arcade, right? You would play, and then some random guy you didn't know would body you for 50 games straight, whatever. You go, oh, what was that? It was magic. So a lot of these guys that they're still good still have that old mentality.
Yeah.
But what's good now is like with YouTube and stuff, now you can share information. Yeah. So now you can see something on stream, dissect it if you understand the game, and you figure it out. Whereas before you just got hit by it and then you never saw the guy again until you went to a tournament and you knew you were going to get hit by it. And lo and behold, the same tactic would work for 2 or 3 years. Now you're more in an era where people think games go stale early, but there's still like things to be found.
Yeah.
But you could hoard a tactic before for years. Like Marvel, if you knew something in Marvel 2, that's it. You can just go everywhere for an entire year and nobody would know any different. And unless you traveled, you wouldn't even know about it.
No. There's not a lot of sharing of information from player to player in this community as there was in the MMO communities, for example.
At least not from high level.
Yeah, from high level players. So I don't get the Hollywood treatment. I've never been about that. I know Albert's not about the Hollywood treatment. He's more about being down to earth with people. But is it a special feeling to go to a tournament? Sometimes yes. I would say so. It feels good to go to a tournament. You get to leave your house, something gamers probably don't get to do that often.
I like the traveling.
I like the traveling.
I like the traveling and just going somewhere where the food is great or you can have a great time. Like when I went to Evo last year, I ate the best macaroni and cheese I ever ate, which is from Max Brenner. And the food in Vegas is just amazing. So, and then you go to Atlanta and you go to Gladys Knights. So there's a lot of places you can go to. Like if you go to a tournament in New York, there's a lot of places to eat there.
Little bodegas.
Yeah.
The bodegas.
That's some of the best food, though.
It is. The $5 cheesesteak special is probably some of the best cheesesteak I've ever had. I went to NEC, my first tournament. Went to, I think it was Jim's? Yeah, Jim's, and they're supposed to have the best cheesesteak. I've had better cheesesteak in Miami.
Wow, really?
Miami has grown to be a big
melting pot for food.
For right now. Like before, it was really hard to find something good in Miami.
Now you can find something good.
Now, let's say you finish a tournament, we can go to Pincho Factory and have a pastelito burger.
Yeah, we just had that today.
Which is 2 pieces of Goyaba pastelitos, a burger inside, and white cheese.
Oh, I gotta hang with you guys more often. Here's a question I have, though. Speaking today, I'm from Chicago originally.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it in Miami that they don't have like a Red Hots where you can get like 30 different items of food in one? That seems to be the one business that hasn't moved here. You go to New York, you go to Joe's Red Hot, and in that one restaurant you can get hot dog, pizza puff, gyro, Italian beef. They don't have that here. It's like specialty. The only place you get a multitude of food is like at the Cuban cantinas, but it's not the same as like in like New York or something.
Because I think everybody specializes in food down here. I would say the place that you can get the closest to something like that would be this local place that I go to, Crackers, which is Southern-based style food, but it's different. You can get hamburgers. Okay, for example, like the other day I had fried lobster. I had a lobster tail. It's fried. It was amazing. That fried bread pudding. If you haven't had fried bread pudding,
Oh.
I recommend you try it. It's serious.
Nice.
It is the best dessert you will ever have.
It sounds like diabetes.
It sounds like the case of the what was it? What's the name of that guy? The diabetes commercial? The diabetes.
Oh,
Diabetes.
Wilford Brimley.
Brimley, you got a case of the Brimleys. That's what it's called.
So speak.
Yeah, with caramel sauce. It's not even caramel. Caramel sauce.
So speaking of crackers, what is the diversity like when you go to these tournaments?
The worst thing that I like? Damn, white people. Yo, he says crackers. He says crackers, and then he goes, "What's the worst thing you like?" Yo, the white people. I don't like white people.
No. That's not what I said. I said, what is diversity like when you go to these tournaments?
Diversity? Holy shit, man. Diversity in fighting game tournaments. That's like the main thing there.
Yeah.
You go to a fighting game tournament, you're bound to run into Koreans, Japanese people. I mean, it is a melting pot. It is what Miami is. Miami is like a South American melting pot for us. Well, fighting game community is like a world melting pot. There's just people from everywhere. We had this last tournament that I saw on stream. They had Cane Blue River, a guy from Chile.
Yeah.
You know. The Mexicans are amazing at KOF, and so are the Koreans. So you get to see Koreans and Mexicans duking it out.
You got Frusty playing Marvel.
Yeah, Frusty plays Marvel. Who else? You get the Koreans playing against the Japanese, who play against the Taiwanese, who play against the Chinese, in Street Fighter.
Zian from Singapore.
Zian from Singapore, amazing game player. And then you get the American people who are throwing rocks at each other.
Well, you also got European people.
Yeah, you got Ryan Hart from Britain, Luffy. You got Alioun, that's French.
I
Alioun's
assume
godlike.
there has to be that one African guy, because you know when you play Xbox and you see that one light in South Africa, that's got to be the pro gamer that comes from South Africa.
You're gonna laugh. The one South African player that I've seen he's never been to the American tournament, but I've seen him posting on Test Your Might. Is this guy? Man, what was his name? If I can remember his name. Man, I forgot his name, but he's a Scarlet player. And he's always posting up tech that he finds on Test Your Might. And, I mean, fighting games, it's funny because it's so many different games within one community. So where StarCraft is one game that pretty much dominates the RTS scene, fighting games appeal to many different people because there are many different games. I know that Mortal Kombat players, mostly North American, but then you had the Dominican brothers, who I've known for a couple of years now, and they were my the first people I met in the community outside of the online style community or the local community, or them. I met Crazy Dominican Senior, who his real name is Robin Figueroa. He's a Killer Instinct and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 legend. He's supposed to be, from what I remember, in Mortal Kombat 3, he was the best Mortal Kombat 3 player. And in Killer Instinct, he was the best Killer Instinct player. Mind you, both games were crazy, though.
Killer Instinct became 4-hit combos.
Yeah.
Because combo breakers were really easy.
Yeah.
So you had to pick a character that did a humongous chunk of damage with 4 hits.
With 4 hits.
The skeleton-looking guy.
Riptor. Yeah, the skeleton. Who was the skeleton? Spinal.
Spinal, yeah.
So, I mean, I played fighting games when I was a kid. I just never got into them like I am now. It's weird because when I quit World of Warcraft, it was because of Mortal Kombat. I got hooked on Mortal Kombat, even though Mortal Kombat is not really that great of a game.
So how'd you guys come up with your gamer names?
My gamer name? Dude, my gamer name is the same gamer name that I've always had. I went back to it because I switched. It was weird. I used my World of Warcraft name because Hayabusa was taken. So I switched to Ashnar now, but I'm going back to Hayabusa. And actually, it's funny if you mentioned that. When I signed up this year for this year's CEO, I put an REC in front of it. I don't know if you remember what REC means.
Red Eye Clan, baby.
Yeah, the Red Eye Clan. So I'm bringing it back to the original roots of my gaming days back at the LAN party. Back when Quake 2 was around and Quake 3. You remember Action Quake?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Action Quake was godlike.
I love that.
You know what I used to love about Action Quake? kicking people off buildings and then knifing them as they fell. That was the best.
I liked holding a grenade, and then when they kill me and they drop it, and then it ended up being blended into like Call of Duty later on.
Yeah.
It's like, but it was original back then.
It was. I think
Yeah.
I think something that I liked about the older games were how simple they were, and left the player to be the creative aspect of it. Whereas now it's like you have a bunch of, for example, I played Black Ops, and you have a bunch of predetermined things that dictate how the game is going to play, and I just don't like that. Quake 2, your jumping had a meaning behind it. Your movement on screen had a meaning behind it. Your weapon choice had a meaning behind it. Whereas in these games now, I feel like it's all spray and pray.
You know what always drove me crazy is in World of Warcraft,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if some of these guys were bots, but when you would have like a rogue or something just run around you at top speed fighting you, and it's like, especially I was a disc priest.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be running circles in me as if that's stopping my casting. I'm here just nuking it, and he's just running around. I'm just like, I just wanted to visualize what this guy looks like at his keyboard, just moving around me super fast, like he's thinking like he's making me dizzy or something. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
The funny part is, oh, stop. Okay. The funny part is, those people that are doing that, they're doing it thinking that they can LOS you, kind of like, remember back in EverQuest, if you can LOS. But I'll tell you a trick for dueling back in EverQuest. It's a trick that nobody else knew about until like Valius, but I knew about it in vanilla. Yeah, I knew about it in vanilla. I had never seen anybody do it. I did it one day by accident. You know that in EverQuest you can start casting a spell in one spot, run. So for example, complete heal is 10 seconds. You're not going to get that off in a fight. It's a 10-second cast, literally 10 seconds. So you're just sitting there going 10 seconds, and it's not coming out. It's going to bash you and stun you. So what you would do is you'd hit complete heal and run. Well, you think, oh man, that's going to stop my casting. Well, no, the bar keeps going because you can cast, and then at the end it says your casting spell is interrupted. If you ran back to the same exact spot, it would throw the cast out.
Oh,
So the way that the casting in that game worked was if you casted a spell in one spot, you can go hide behind a wall, avoid AoE damage, which is what I did as a cleric, come back to the spot, and the spell would come off. And then you go hide back in your spot. So that was a strategy that I used in North TOV fights, most of Gates of Discord, and a couple other Runes of Kunark. That really actually helped me in Runes of Kunark because Vendor Sathir was a motherfucker. I hated Vendor Sathir. But
as far as tournaments, how many people show up there that just have no business, and maybe they have money or their mom said, "Here, go do it," and they just show up and they just have no business.
How many people don't belong in tournaments, Albert, that have money, that are, they got the money, but they show up and it's just like a big old party event?
Well, that's the thing about tournaments, that we would have players in our community that wouldn't go to tournaments because they thought everybody was at an advanced and pro level. Then you get people who have the money, and then you're like, their concept of the game is like, wow. And sometimes a person like that will get a victory over a more advanced player, because the thing about in fighting games is, in order to repeat the win process, you have to be levels above the other player that you're playing. Like, you can't just be a little bit better and beat somebody 10 times straight. So in a 2 out of 3, it can happen. But we would have players that would be like, oh man, no, because I think everybody said. I'm like, bro, there's people there who just go for the experience, and you know what? That's a good thing. I think that's something that the fighting game community is getting away from, that they're not playing the games.
Yeah.
They're spectating, they spend their $10, they lose, and, they'll drink or whatever, and I think that's being lost. Like, the whole fun thing that I like about the fighting game community is that the top players are accessible. You can come up to them and, if you have $10 or whatever, money match them, and if you beat them, you beat them, and if not, no. And I did that in a final round. I would beat the advanced players. I'll make my money, and then I'll go against the Alex Valles, the Strider 801s, Ike Peruz, guys
Even
that
Justin Wong.
even Justin Wong, guys that won majors, and there we go. And I learned some stuff from them, and the people I beat, they would not leave that set without me helping them with their game. Because me personally, I don't like the whole hoarding of information. If it's a setup, okay, whatever. But sometimes people get beat, and the guy takes your money and leaves. And to me, that's an insult. I'd rather work with the guy, because sometimes the advice you need to hear isn't the one you're expecting. And a lot of players are expecting, like a lot of fighting game players thinks that, all I need is the solution. But in fighting games, every solution has a counter. It's just who adapts first. So there's people that go there with money. Like we had a Marvel player called Tayson that made like $250 one final round just off money matches. So there's people that will go there and spend $10-20
a match
to money match. But to me, it's like that's fine because you're both consenting adults. But to beat somebody and then just give them a handshake and leave, part of my friends, I think that's BS, bro.
Yeah.
You help the guy out. You give him the advice that he needs to progress, and that's it. I lost like 2 or 3 money matches to Strider, but I got knowledge in the Abel matchup that I wouldn't have gotten in, and I was able to help him in the Makoto matchup because it's a bad matchup for Makoto, and I was actually able to beat his Makoto, so we were helping each other out. Like at the end of the day, the money wasn't even relevant.
Now, would you say that in as regards of the top players, like if you think about it in sports, you could be LeBron James and have a bad game. You could be Tiger Woods, have a bad game. Tom Brady, whoever. Have you seen the same thing happen in pro gaming where someone that you're like, man, this guy is the king of Mortal Kombat. He shows up and for some reason he gets his butt kicked and you're like, what the hell happened? And it's not like he's injured or something. Just
That's easy. I can give you multiple things because a lot of the games don't have repeating champions unless they're Infiltration or Chris G. Mortal Kombat, easiest one I can give you. The analogy is so simple. Perfect Legend wins Evo, so he's the world champion. Next week he goes out to VXG, unknown Dominican player that nobody knew about, blows him up, beats him in grand finals 6-1. So the world champion just lost to an unknown.
That's pretty cool, though.
That's pretty freaky, right?
Yeah, it's freaky, but it's cool that anyone can win.
When he lost to Seth LOL.
Yeah. Infiltration lost at final round in Street Fighter Cross Tekken to Seth LOL. And that was the first time anybody heard of Seth LOL.
Well, people heard of him,
but they didn't know.
They didn't know.
But was that like a one-time luck win, or did those people go on to at least be decent?
Well, Gross has been decent ever since. Gross is... He's placed top 8 a couple times at majors. His first U.S. tournament, he didn't do so well. But that happens a lot of times. The international players, their first time over, because the play styles are different. American play styles are very different than international play styles. So, for example, I'll give you a real good example. At Evo this past year, Sako came over, and Sako is an amazing player. He's been an amazing player for tons of years, almost 2 decades. He's in his 40s.
Yeah,
he's in his 40s. He's a family man. He's a guy that goes home, plays Street Fighter Online because the Japanese internet's really good, and he will grind out matches, and he'll play, and he'll come up with his own stuff, and nobody will hear about it until he shows up to tournament. And he blows people up and he wins. The last Topanga League, he won. He won the last Topanga League. And he took a character that was not really that great.
He reimagined a character that people had written off as garbage.
And he made him legitimate.
And Sako is just creative like that. He's made his own combos. Like in Vampire Savior, he found a loop with a mid-tier character that the tiers change if you know that loop.
Yeah, the character becomes the best character in the game.
Yeah, she gets a touch of death pretty much. So Sako's not only done that for Evo Ryu, he did that to Ibuki.
Did that to Cammy?
And he did that to Cammy. And in ST, he did that to T-Hawk.
Yeah.
T-Hawk has no width on his command grab. So then he found out, hey, I can option select an uppercut if you press a button, or if you jump back. There you go. So he made T-Hawk go from worst to almost first.
Man, see that's cool. I mean, and I remember just some characters that you think that you would never get any kind of play with. Like I knew a guy with Dalzine that would just kick ass, and you're like, really? That used to be the character I wish people would pick, so I know it's an easy win. It's like, nope, this guy whooped my ass with.
Dalsum back in ST and in Alpha 3 was one of the best characters in both of those games.
In ST, he was really.
And in Alpha 3, he was good.
He was good, but he was good in the beginning of the life. Toward the end of the life of the game, it was like Akuma.
Well, technically, he was the best character in the World Warrior too, wasn't he?
He was the best character in ST, and he was really good. In World Warrior,
he was ridiculous.
He was okay.
He didn't
have a teleport.
Yeah, but he had limbs.
He had limbs, but. And you know what? Nobody really used them that much because in World Warrior, everyone would use like Shoto and whatnot. But a lot of the characters in World Warrior were incomplete.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't using Gaio or Ryu,
that
was it. Those were the two best characters, which is funny because there's this legend called Tomo.
Yeah.
That they said, in World Warrior, he would master Ryu and Gaio. Well, those were the only two characters worth using. Yeah. So props to him for finding that out. But in World Warrior, you were using those two characters or you weren't winning.
Yeah. And in Championship Edition, he was really good too.
Yeah. But
in Hybrid Fighting,
you had Bison.
Yeah, Mike Watson was really good. He used to beat Watson, though.
Yeah.
He used to beat Watson.
So, oldest, youngest. Who's the oldest really good player and youngest really good player?
The oldest really good player is Sako, flat out. He's the best oldest player. Out of the age group, the oldest of the oldest, he's the best oldest player. And then the youngest, the best youngest player. Man, Sako's around 40.
Probably would have to be CJ.
CJ Truth?
Yeah, top 32 Evo 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
Made top 3 in Street Fighter and top 3 in Street Fighter Cross Tekken just this past weekend at a major.
Yeah, CJ Truth. He's from Orlando.
So how old is he?
How old is he? It fluctuates, so,
I heard he was 15.
Last you heard he was 15? That was 3 years ago?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, last we heard he was 15 this year. But that also goes back 3 years, so.
Oh, gee. So what ranking are you shooting for? Like when you go to a tournament, like do you have to be top 10, top 5? Does top 20 is that fine or what?
The standard goal for anybody that really wants to be competitive, like to hit at a tournament top 8. You want to be top 8? I would say win. Yeah. Because if I go to a tournament, I want to win. I mean, top 8 is nice. Yeah. But that's like.
But now you're entering a separate discussion. Because one of the things that FGC hasn't evolved on is payouts.
Yeah.
And I think if you're in the top 10 percentile
you should get paid.
Of your players, you should have money. And I think that FGC has lost a lot of really good players that maybe they can't beat the Justin Wongs or the Ricky Ortiz or the Infiltrations, but they're placing consistent top 8s.
No.
And they should get paid.
That's where I also get back to originally. A lot of the pots that you'll see for fighting game tournaments, sometimes they get bonus donations from, for example, let's say KOF gets Atlas Games, which made the game. They'll usually toss in about $1,000. Yeah. Let's say the biggest one I've seen was Street Fighter, but they held their own tournament. Capcom held their own tournament. So in a way I can't count that because that's just them holding their own tournament. NRS for Mortal Kombat 9 last year put in $20,000. But the problem is we'll get to this now because you'll see how I'm going to break it down. When you see the StarCraft players get paid out, I don't think anybody that places within the top 5 in StarCraft gets anything less than like $3,000. And it's the sponsorships. Intel, they have multiple sponsorships, and FGC doesn't get that.
The FGC doesn't get that. because they don't let themselves be guided. It's a control thing.
It is.
But even if we have a let's say an 80-person tournament, right?
Yeah.
And you get whatever top 8. Top 8 supposed to get paid. Like, to me, my thing is, the big thing was an Evo 2009, the first year that Street Fighter came out.
Mm-hmm.
And people were talking about, oh, this is going to be like poker. We might even be on TV. And I go, well, why don't you guys learn from poker and pay top 8?
Yeah.
Why doesn't every tournament, just like poker, pay the top 10 percentile? Because now you have an issue where if now when I watch a grand final,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the pot's being split.
Yeah, that's something that's really gotten bad is the pot splitting amongst the top players that are in top 8. They like to go ahead and split.
It's mostly first and second.
No, because I hear about the split squad. I don't know if you knew about the split squad.
No?
Do you know what the split squad is?
No.
It's when a famous Asian fat player from the United States walks around in his little walk, and he's asking everybody, hey, you want to split? Want to split? Want to split? Don't mind the fact that I said famous Asian fat player from the United States. You know, that is not a tell of who I just said.
Is that everybody likes money?
Is that everybody likes money except Wolf Crone. Does not get along with Wolf Crone.
Because you didn't wake me up.
Because you didn't wake me up for my pools at final round, and I got DQ'd.
Oh,
Thanks.
damn.
Yeah, Wolf Crone. It's so funny. Wolf Crone got DQ'd at final round out of winners. He got DQ'd out of winners. Actually, he got DQ'd at the beginning of the tournament.
Yeah.
Out of winners. Came back through losers and won the tournament.
Nice.
And the best part was, the most infamous thing about that whole scenario is he was going to split the pot with the guy who got second. I'm not naming names. Fat Asian player from the United States. But that guy and him now have a rivalry because Wolf Crone said, no, I'm not splitting after he won.
Oh, man.
So he told him, no thanks. I am not splitting with you after winning.
So tell us about, I guess, maybe some of the behind-the-scene or politicking that go on, because I know that, you know, using the analogy again about sports, you have people that will talk about, oh, the Olympic Committee is this and that, and they should do that, or the NBA Stern is like this and like that. How is it when you're dealing with these tournament and companies, like the politics, the BS, stuff like that?
The politics of the FGC, Albert.
See, I've got something here. Good, there you go. My CNN moment.
Man, you know, I have to tread lightly on this one because I might get shot. Might be a sniper outside or something. They, you know, technically, if they could ban a show, they could kill me. You know, they can get a show suspended from Twitch. They can kill little old me, I'm sure. Okay. One of the terms that's used often in the FGC, the Illuminati. We have an FGC Illuminati. I don't know if you guys knew about that. There is an FGC Illuminati. The sad part is that the only Illuminati is all West Coast, for the most part, unless you're a guy who kisses bears in Chicago, Illinois. No offense to somebody who runs a tournament that starts with letter U and ends with a T, and there's an FG in between it. You know, no offense to that guy. You know, streams Mortal Kombat. Streams Injustice at 9 o'clock in the morning, only to stream Dive Kick at what time was it? Dive shit. It's a flash game. Dive Flash.
Yeah.
It's a flash game.
It's a flash game.
Yeah.
But it's his flash game.
It's his flash game, so everybody has to watch it at the primetime hours. And then you have to watch a bunch of random ass mystery games that nobody plays.
Yeah.
You know, but you stream a game that came from a developer in the United States. Not only was that developer in the United States, but technically he's in your same area code.
In your own hometown.
In your own hometown. Yeah, we're talking about UFGT. I don't give a shit. Fuck that guy. He's a fucking piece of shit.
I haven't met him personally, but I would have done things differently.
I would have done things a lot differently. I mean, I can understand if you want primetime showing for your game, and that's fine. Dive Kick could have went on in the time it did. But you don't have to stream a tournament where there's, I think it was 176 people. All right, let's say, for example, Albert, I send you to a tournament. 176 people. You're competing in this tournament. You have a good shot of winning. You make top 8. I mean, mind you, he's going to go ahead and say, this guy said, oh, but the stream schedule was out months in advance, and you knew it was going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. So since the stream schedule was out so far in advance, and this is a big game, and you've known for 4.5 months that this game was building momentum, and then when it was released, it got big, and then there was a couple tournaments where there were 200-plus people. So you would put people at a disadvantage where there is a pot that's actually a decent size for somebody to win. You'd give them the disadvantage of saying, hey, you have to wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to come play this game. And then you get a shitty-ass performance that happened at UFGT. I mean, props to...
It was still supposedly the hypest tournament they had.
Yeah, it was the hypest tournament they had because Marvel is dead. It's a dead-ass game. Street Fighter is stale. They're going to have to repatch the whole game. It's stale. It's stale. Unless you know Flash Kick Tech. You know, Guile. And you make them jump up a tier. It's just a game that won't die. But Marvel is stale. It's boring. You've been watching the same shit, just different crap for the last 3.5 years.
Dead is Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken is dead, even though the game is actually not that bad.
No, the
game got a shitty rap because it launched terrible. It was a terrible launch.
It was.
It was a bad launch. They should have taken the $25. I mean, $25,000 they gave to the guy from New York. I don't know his name. What was his name? You remember that guy's name? I know he's good for about a week. Plays for about a week. And then
the Curse of the Nerd Josh.
The Curse of the Nerd Josh. He's good for about a week, and then, I don't know where he's at. Where is Nerd Josh? Calling Nerd Josh. Testers of Injustice. I mean, he's the only one that hasn't done anything. While we still have testers placing in top 8 for Injustice, Nerd Josh is missing. They only play for 5 days. Yeah, unless they were writing guides and then they played for about a month. Right. But hey, that was a different build of the game. That has nothing to do with this build of this game. Right. Because if you have a game and there's universal mechanics in it, they change from design to design or build to build. Yeah, it's a build to build the mechanics of the game. I'm just totally trolling the shit out of this conversation right now because
we love trolling here at Obsolete.
This is the type of shit.
Once you add one frame to a move,
yeah, it changes the game.
It's a different game.
It's a different game. The game does not function the same anymore. No. It's a bunch of crap. That's the type of shit we have to deal with in this community sometimes too. It's just shit like that.
Obviously, you guys have a lot of experience and stuff, just not only going to different tournaments, but meeting different people.
Yeah.
So give us, and if you each have one, fine, that'd be great. Give us like a best story that has to do with like a tournament or a match or something like that.
Best tournament in a match.
Or like a story, like maybe something funny happened, even if it wasn't directly.
I can give you a match that I won, that I had no business winning. And it's when I beat Crespo. I had no business winning that match because he picked 2 characters that can beat my character and without a problem, too. Okay, so this guy was a former, I guess you could say he was a top player, and then
He was actually sponsored.
He was actually sponsored at one point, and I beat him. I beat him with my character in Mortal Kombat, and mind you, I played the game, but I didn't have anybody to play with, and I tried getting him to play. He hated the game, so thank God there's Injustice. We can play that now. I beat him in 2 matchups that I shouldn't have beat him in. I beat him Kenshi Cyrax and then Kenshi Kung Lao. And at the time, both those matchups, and I still feel to this day, both those matchups are not in my character's favor. I beat him 2-0. He didn't win. He won 1 round out of the whole thing. It felt good to beat him because, A, he was considered a top player at the time, I guess, in the state of Florida. But B, like, the amount of backlash that came after that was hilarious because everybody just ragged him hard. Like, everybody was just like, you can't win matchups that are in your favor. Like, that's terrible. So in a way, that kind of works. Also beating.
But were they giving you props as well, or was it just?
Oh no, they were giving me tons of props. They were like, "How did you win that matchup?" And I'm like, "I'm just patient and I wait." And then he makes mistakes, and then I don't. Like a lot of the stuff in fighting games is, the way the matches always start off is you're trying to minimize the risk you take to get the reward you want. In some ways.
Well, I think that's the first lesson that players have to learn.
Yeah.
And then from there, because there's going to be situations where either one party wins or the other party wins. And what you want to make sure afterwards is that if you win, you get way more reward than the other person. But I think in the beginning, everybody looks at the high-level guys and they want to just make reads and they want to just guess.
Doesn't work that way.
And, you know, they want the Daigo parries and the uppercuts into Ultra. And what you get is people playing by guessing. And then nothing makes sense.
No.
What you get in the beginning. So a good way to beat any new player is you just play a really reactive play style. Let me see what you do. I react. There we go.
No.
And then it isn't until later on that you start getting into more of the different options that you start to cycle through at the higher levels.
Yeah. What was what you said you wanted to know? Okay, give me a funny story, Albert, about your travels within the fighting game community tournament scene. Funny story. Well, it could be a match, or it could be a funny experience, which I know you have some funny experiences.
Okay.
You can go no holds barred, too.
I think the funniest experience I had was when I went to Evo last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke with someone in our community, and I have witnesses.
Oh, shit.
And he told me that I could room with him. Little did I know that that person would not go to Evo, would not return my calls, and did not show up.
Damn.
So, I say, fuck it. Let me wing it. I go to the tournament. I meet I forgot the guy's name, but he's a NorCal ST player. So I tell the guys, you know, I don't know anybody in that room from Bob. And I go to the guys, hey, you know, can I just chill until I figure this out? And they're like, cool. Little did I know you got a top player named Damn Guy there. They bring this big arcade cab there, and they bring the best Japanese ST player at the time called Mao, which has a nasty Vega. So I guess sets with him and whatnot. And then there's a local high-level player here that is sponsored by AGE called Flash. And I call Flash, and I told him the situation. And sometimes Flash gets a bad rep. But this day, you know, I'm going to set karma kind of its place because he did do me a solid. He got me, you know, a room, basically a spot on the floor that night in Caesars. Now, what makes this a big deal is that he was there with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So he wasn't, no fucks were given that night. So, you know, he did me a solid, and the next night I was able to find a room. But what I liked about it is, like, in the FTC, you know, I didn't know anybody from Bob. Hey, show what you guys play some games. Let me figure this out. I got some games against, you know, a Japanese player. I got some games versus Damn Guy. And, you know, much props to the ST guys. You know, I had a lot of fun that night. Flash was able to help me out for one night, you know, and I was able to find a room the next night.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because later on when I came back, the guy said, no, I don't remember having that conversation. And I actually had to bring the witness in front of him and say, hey, you remember when we had this conversation? He's like, yeah, bro, I was there. That would be like, yeah,
I got proof.
Sorry. So that was pretty bad when you start calling people at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning asking for a room.
Yep.
And, you know, somebody who you thought was going to Evo up to like a week before, it just ends up not going to the tournament and you have no place to stay.
Christ.
What would you say to someone, I guess finally, what would you say to somebody who maybe they're pretty good and they're playing and they say to themselves, you know, I want to try this out. Like, if they came to you and say, you know, give me some advice. What should I do? I think I'm really good at this game. Should I give it a shot?
Give it a shot as what? As far as going to a tournament and playing?
Yeah, or try to make, like, they think they want to be a pro, and they say, you know, hey, give me some advice on trying to be a pro.
Go for it. Go to a tournament. Go play. Just know that money in this community is hard to come by if you're trying to make a living off it right now. Even if you're a sponsored player, you're not going to make a lot of money.
Even even if you do content.
Even if you do content, you're not going to get paid well. I know the YouTube partnerships, unless you're getting 100,000 views or plus for some videos, you're not going to get money that easily off of it. It's just like anything. It's something where, number one, you have to be dedicated to just playing the game and enjoy the game for what it is. Go out there and compete and enjoy that for the simple fact that you're competing against other people. You know, something that will help you along the path of once you've become a better player and you're in that mix of you're about to hit top 16, top 8 in tournaments. Stay quiet. Don't say anything to anybody. Don't talk to anybody. That's the best mind fuck of them all.
Keep it close.
if you keep it close to your chest and be quiet, they don't know what the fuck is gonna get them. That's the best way to play against these people. But go for it. Go out there and travel. To be honest, I go to these tournaments and I like to compete. It's not a bad feeling to compete, but I enjoy more the drunk pool parties at CEO.
Yeah.
Where I'm giving somebody $20 to get me X Factor. I'm enjoying the stories that a player to another share, the games we play, because I mean the tournament expectancy for you to go if you're just a regular first-time player, you might go 0-2 and that'll be 5 minutes, 10 minutes each match and you're out. And then you're just stuck there going, hey, what do I do? Well, you go mingle with people and make acquaintances, and you'll find that some people, like you said, Jan's a really good person. I met him at CEO. There are some people in this FGC that you can have a level of a conversation where it's like it's more than just fighting games. You know, you're meeting people at the end of the day. So go out there and travel. One day this will blow up. I don't know when. Maybe when the Illuminati is no longer around or they got bought out and they have no control.
I think it'll gain a level of recognition, but I don't think it's going to blow up.
I don't think it'll be like StarCraft.
Because, yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, you know what? What I like about it, within any good organization where there's money involved, there's going to be things that maybe don't seem right or correct, but the great thing about the FGC is that everybody gets to have their opinion heard.
Yeah, that is something true.
So everything gets brought out to light. I know a lot of people might say, well, you have a lot of stuff happening. Well, the only reason people know about it is because people care so much, are so passionate about it, that they make it vocal.
Yep.
Whereas in MLG, like if you made, I think, what was it, top 8 in one tournament, you didn't play in pools the next tournament.
Yeah.
So whoever else made the top 8, you got scouted by the other team, and you played X amount of matches before getting to the people that were a brand or were sponsored. So the great thing about the FGC is everybody has to play in pools. Everybody has to go through the steps, you know, and play people and go through the hour or half hour between matches or whatever. They had to go through what you went through. They weren't out there doing nothing, chilling, having the time of their life, and then they come in and watch your matches last minute, get a freaking strategy and say, oh, well, here you go. And I only had to play 2 matches, and now I'm in grand finals.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's cool. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that I really did not know about, and I really thank you guys for coming on and talking about this. And I think that with all the different names and stories, I think that next time we're gonna need to fill this place full of various gamers and just let you guys go battle royal style, because you know I'm getting into the back and forth. I like the competition. I like hearing the stories. And I just think I do hope it gets more play and because it's interesting, and I think that a lot of people may downplay certain things until they really get to see it out, and once they do, then they'll be like, hey, this is really cool, and more people will get into it. I mean, that's the same thing with sports. You may think that this sport is not that important, and then you watch it and you say, man, I'm really interested in this, and I'd like to do it. But I just wanted to thank you and Albert for coming on and talking to us about pro gaming. It was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime. how can I say this? When you get into this, just remember, try not to do it for just the money, because it's not going to happen.
It's like being a writer or a website owner.
Well, I'll put it this way. I know we were going to have a guest come on earlier when we had talked through messages, and I know that I can tell you personally that is the only guy that has made money out of gaming. I'll put it that way.
Well, I guarantee that we're going to have you guys back, and we're going to try and have a bigger group, because this is interesting, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that's interested in it, so we'll definitely do it again. But before we go, we want to give all guests like a plug, like shameless plug. Do you have anything that you want to plug?
I'll do shout outs. I can do shout outs.
Okay.
Albert, go ahead, do your shout outs.
Hey, shout outs to Final Round Arcade in Miami.
Yeah.
Angel and the people over there for supporting the scene. Shout outs to the Flippers crew and Broward for Flipper Gaming, Leach and Ben. Let me see. What else should we have shout outs to? And just shout outs to the people in
Texas
and the people in Texas. You got Jan, you got Josh. The people that run Texas Showdown.
Yeah, the new guys. They got away from Planet Zero. That was that was a big step for Texas. They're gonna have a scene eventually again, a big scene with that tournament. That's all they needed, really. Shout outs to the OGs, Navarro.
Yeah, Navarro.
Alex Navarro, Big Five, Nelson. Shout outs to Nelson. Shout outs to Nelson, definitely. For me, I would say shout outs to James MK on the OBS show. I know that he went through some crap this week, dealing with certain things. But to be honest, yeah, the Illuminati. We'll be honest. But his show is special.
Shout outs to Keats for making it more popular than ever.
Yeah, shout outs to Keats for blowing it up for him. Because if it wasn't for UFGT, he wouldn't have hit 2K views. He had 2,000 people watching his show this past week.
Very nice.
So shout outs to Keats for running a shitty-ass tournament. Good job. I don't give a fuck who you are, to be honest. I don't give a shit. Nobody in the FGC scares me. So, but yeah, shout outs to James. I've known James for 3 years now. It's been a good ride so far. He's a nice guy. He means well, and his show is really the only channel and avenue that the average person in this community gets to express what they want to say without having somebody tell them no, they're wrong. He sticks up for the little people. Shout out to the Dominican brothers. If it wasn't for CD Senior, I probably would have had a terrible time at NEC. I got left behind by somebody. Not you, though, Albert. You didn't even go to NEC. Somebody with long hair. But now we reconciled that person and me, we're good. Shout-outs to the OGs, because without them, I wouldn't have Daigo parries to watch, or crazy Alpha 3 matches that made me want to play fighting games.
Shout-outs to Shin Hayabusa versus Clara.
Shout-outs to Shin Hayabusa versus Clara and her healing win to cheat. And I saw that.
I had to come clean like Tiger Woods, man.
I figured 15, 20 years later, it's okay. You can come clean.
And yes, by the way, for everyone that knows, I never admitted this till now.
He never admitted it.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't understand how somebody can go from 10% health to like 45, and I'm there going, hey, did you heal? And he's like, no.
No, it's regen.
It's regen. I'm like, damn, that was some serious regen. Shout-outs to EverQuest for bringing me into gaming as far as gaming as a whole and having me be competitive in it, because I was very competitive in EverQuest, and it'll sound funny, but I was, 16? When I was playing EverQuest, did you go to the fanfare?
Yeah.
Mascot, you went to the fanfare.
Now. Do you
remember the mob that mobbed me?
No,
from all of Enlightened Dark, everybody from Enlightened Dark.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My whole guild shows up to Fanfare Orlando. This is the first Hollywood moment I had. This was crazy. So I show up to Fanfare Orlando, and at that time there was a very, very infamous thing that happened. I'll tell you guys the story. So that way you guys have a real story. This is the real story. This is the ninja cleric story, because everybody said I was a ninja.
Oh, I know
Ninja.
this one.
You remember
Pretty
that?
good.
Everybody used to call me a ninja. Well,
Ninja Busa, they said.
Ninja Busa. That was my name. They took the shin out and they put Ninja Busa. That was crazy. All right, so what happened was there was two guilds, my guild in Light and Dark, and Clan of Shadows. Clan of Shadows, we called them, instead of Clan of Shadows, at that time, Clan of Shadows was the largest guild on the server. You want to know why they were the largest guild on the server? Because on command, they could summon 72 people to a raid. I don't know how the hell at 3 o'clock in the morning you can find 72 people out of nowhere to go raid a fucking dragon. Like, that shit mind boggles me. So we used to call them Clan of Zergs.
Yep.
You know, they're just like the Zergs. Spawning pool in a fucking hatchery, and they just fucking brought out a whole army. So Clan of Shadows with Machiavelli, their infamous leader. You know, the guy of many deaths in that game that you never thought he'd come back, and then he just came back the next day. We had I was camping the cleric, legendary epic, whatever you want to call it, the res stick. That's all it was. It's really a res stick. The click stick. And I'm camping the dragon in Nagafen's lair, and they bring a cleric. Mind you, this is already 3 days into the camp. I'm sitting there, and you're going to laugh when I tell you this story, because this is stuff that I should have been banned for. As I was camping it, this Clan of Shadows cleric comes in, named Severe, and he tells me and whispers, "Hey, did the dragon spawn yet?" And I go, "No, I'm camping." And he goes, "Good, I'm camping it." I'm like, "No, you're not camping it. I'm already here. I've been here for 3 days." He's like, "No, you don't understand. This is my camp now. I took over this." I'm like, "What do you mean you took over this?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to sit here." And his guild is behind him. And I'm like, where the fuck did these motherfuckers come from? There's 72 people. They're 72 deep. So I let my guild know. I'm just like, "Hey, guys, you know, they're here." And 2 days later, the dragon spawns. But it's not a dragon spawn originally. It's like a human NPC that you have to hand in a pearl to. This is where it gets tricky.
Then he turns to Rage Fire.
Yes, then he turns into Rage Fire. The best part is they pull Rage Fire and they wipe. This is where it gets even better. My guild was behind me. They let him pull Rage Fire. They wiped. We went in and killed the dragon. I took the pearl, the reward for the pearl, which would end up giving me the epic. And we also took 2 Cloak of Fames, a couple Vox bags, and like various other crap, because it did drop crap after that. But the 2 Cloak of Flames gave it to 2 people in the guild, the Vox bag and all that. But I wasn't on my cleric. I had went to go eat something, and Greldon from Italy was on my cleric. I get a call like 5 minutes after I leave, and he's like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Who's this?" Like, I'm like, what area code is this? This isn't even an area code. It's like 5 digits.
It's KGB calling.
And he's like, "Hello, is this Hayabusa?" And I'm like, "Okay, who's this?" He goes, "This is Greldon." And I'm like, "I just left. I'm down at Wendy's getting something." He's like, "You have to come back, and then I'm going to tell you what happened." I'm like, "Oh shit, this just got serious." So he goes, and when I get home, he goes, "Hey, okay, there's a GM, and he's gonna ask you questions, and I'm gonna walk you through these questions." And I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" He goes, "You're gonna see, because I'm gonna walk you through the questions." So I have the red stick in my bag, and I'm like, "Okay, I was gone 5 minutes. What the fuck just happened? How the fuck did I get this shit?" And he goes, "Okay, look, the GM is gonna send you a tell," and then like 2 seconds later, "GM, hey, I'd like to talk to you." And I'm just there like, "Oh shit, this is not gonna end well." The GM goes, "All right, did you loot this item?" And I go, "Gordon, did I loot the item?" Yes.
Let me speak to my lawyer. Lawyer?
And then he goes, and mind you, this is all in broken Italian-ass English. This is really bad. Then he goes, the GM says, "Okay, did you steal this dragon from the pool?" And I go, "Gordon, what happened to the dragon in the pool?" He goes, "It reset." And I'm like, "Okay, no, the dragon reset, and we pulled it." Okay, because the log shows the dragon was only at 50% health. And I'm like, Grodon, they're saying the dragon was at 50% health. It reset. And I'm like, it reset? That's all I can tell.
That's all I can tell you.
And the GM's like, okay. Goes to the Clan of Shadows people. He goes, you guys are on your own. And the Clan of Shadows people were like, what do you mean we're on our own? He goes, he has a pearl. You have a cleric that needs the pearl. You guys better be nice to him. So instead of them being nice to me, you know what these motherfuckers do? They threaten me.
Well, that's on
They're
Mac's
like,
command. That was his style.
Yeah, on his command, they started threatening me. They go, hey, if you don't give us this pearl, we're going to fuck you up. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to fuck me up? What's the fucking game? We're coming to Orlando, and we're going to fuck you up.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, hold on here. So for like a month straight, all I got was death threats and fucking random posts on the Real Poor forum saying that I was a ninja and that not to trust me and that this and that, and I was just, and then Enlightened Dark is the worst guild ever and you can't trust Enlightened Dark and all
this
this
coming
shit.
from Clan of Shadows. That's
This
the
coming
point
from
of
the clan of Zergs. This fucking clan of Zergs, who were infamous for fucking stealing spawns and everything. Like, they were just terrible. So I think they were jealous. They wanted that top dog notch and they couldn't get it because Enlightened Dark pretty much ran the server at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to the Orlando Fanfare, and this is where things get interesting. I go to the Orlando Fanfare. I go with Firestrike, which is Alex. You know Alex. Shriller, which is Jose. And Sinless, which is Tony. And then this random fucking warrior that we picked up named Brum.
And by the way, all those guys are also Red Eye guys, at least the LAN party version of Red Eye.
Yeah.
Plus, all the Red Eye clan guys were there. So we were the largest group there anyway.
Yes. So we had the largest group there at that time. It was about 20 of us deep. All the people that I knew, plus my guild. And then the funny part is, what was the other one? And Black went. You remember Black Magic?
Mm-hmm.
The Geo. And it's funny, I got them all into ED after the fanfare because they met Nazlug, and I got them into Enlightened Dark. But at that fanfare, I was kind of like, I do not want to get my badge because you had to go up and get your badge, and it had your name on it, and I had registered already beforehand, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to go get my badge. You know, I told people to go get it for me. They didn't want to get it for me, and I was just like, fuck, man. I don't want to go get my badge, but I can't go see any of the QA panels. I can't do anything unless I go get this badge. So I walk up, and I go get the badge. Guess who was handing out the badges?
Who?
Machiavelli.
Oh.
So I walk up, and I'm like, Shinhabusa. The guy goes, what'd you say? I'm like, Shinhabusa. Just give me the badge with Shinhabusa on it. I'm looking away from him, and he puts the badge in front of me. He goes, that's you? And I go, yeah. And I go to grab it and walk away, and he's holding on to it. I'm like, I start looking back. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is not going to be good. He said something loud, like some weird-ass fucking shit that he said. I guess it was like a call. Fucking 72 people show up.
He's like,
no, it was like more like 5 people, but it was like his little girl. And I'm like, and then Tony sees that, and Tony walks behind me. And then behind me walks 5, 6 people I didn't know. I'm like, who the fuck are these 5, 6 people? It's Nazlug, somebody else, and like 2 other people. And they're like, wait. So you mean to tell me that the cleric we take orders from is fucking 16 and we're 30? And 40-year-old people? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, all right, come on. And I said, Machiavelli, shut the fuck up. They took the badge away, and we all walked off. And I was like, yeah, fight averted. I ain't got to deal with this shit. I was only 16. I was fucking jumped by a bunch of e-thugs. This is bad. So yeah, that is the legendary story. That's my one real famous story from EverQuest that, like, it was server wide at one point, and then I think everybody's actually happy that it happened because they just fucking hated on Clan of Shadows. And then I stuck it to them in the next expansion. That was the best part. In the next expansion, they were trying to farm talismans for North TOV to enter, and I would take 20 people and kill what they couldn't kill with 72.
Damn.
And it was brutal. They would go in trying to kill Zlandikar with 72. I'd take 20 of Enlightened Dark's best players, wipe the floor with the mob, and be done.
I still remember just how much fun I had at that fanfare. I mean, I've been to a lot of different conventions, but that one still was just special.
That one was special. That was the first time I've ever been to a live event like that. I mean, tournaments have been fun for the most part. CEO last year was great. Even though I don't really care for the guy who runs CEO, I don't give a fuck about him. But he's not a bad person because he's kept the major in Florida. So his head gets a little big like his dive kick character.
Well, I have to say, thanks for that story, because just thinking about it and reliving it was great. And
Brings back memories. I have pictures still. I have pictures of my EverQuest character. I have pictures of my Ranger too.
I have pictures of that, and even pictures of the fanfare. So maybe I'll share that so people can see it. But
you gotta bring those out.
Definitely.
I think I saw one that somebody posted, and I forgot that I had that funky looking Phoenix Coyotes jersey from the NHL back in that era. But it was crazy because I see a lot of people there. I saw in that picture, I saw Tim, I saw Merlot, which is Ed.
Yep.
And he's an old G. We used to LAN at his mom's warehouse.
Yep.
His mom's warehouse, 50 people deep LANing. He was the first place that we had DSL too.
Yep.
That shit
playing
was crazy.
EverQuest, and we all played EQ on it.
Yes, we all played EQ on it, and it would lag sometimes.
Oh,
that DSL line was like, fuck, you guys are getting every fucking dollar out of me right now.
Actually, we plan to do a Red Eye / LAN party show as soon as I can try and get as many people as I can to actually come on. But
well, you can sign me up for that. I'll definitely go to that.
Well,
I'll definitely go.
I definitely enjoyed myself. Ignacio, you enjoy yourself today?
Oh yeah, man.
All right, cool. And I'm pretty sure that the audience did, and we'll get feedback. But it seems that so far everyone is liking having the live broadcast as well as the option to listen to the podcast or watch it later. So, I mean, you guys, anytime you guys want to come on and talk about anything, you guys are always welcome. And, again, thank you guys for coming out and talking with us.
Anytime. I mean, it's good to be on this show. I like these shows. Just keep it the way it is. Don't change anything.
Oh, no, we like to keep it real. You come, you hang out, you talk. That's really it. I'm not trying to be bourgeois or anything like that. But I want to send a personal shout-out to all the people who actually watch. I know that sometimes you're talking games, and if you don't actually know the game or like the game, it might be like, but, if you expose yourself to something, you might end up saying to yourself, I like it, or, just at least appreciate what other people have done that might be a little bit different than you, and that's what we hope to do with Obsolete Gamer. We may be mostly talking classic games, but, we'll talk about anything if it's relevant and has to do with gaming culture, because I just like the whole idea of all of these different people playing games, meeting up and having fun, and that's why we wanted to do this hangout too, so you guys had a chance to see us talking and hanging out. Yeah. But we always try to plan to do a good show, short show, and it's always a great show. It's never short, but that's good because I still think it's filled with good content, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next Friday at the same time with more talking about pretty much anything. And if you all ever have suggestions about what you'd like to see us talk about, you can always hit us up on our Facebook page and, let us know, because we want to hear feedback, what we're doing good and what we can improve on. But until next time, remember our new motto, never stop gaming. We'll see you next time, guys.